Welcome to the Know, I'm Meg Turney. Here's what's going on in the world of video games. Yesterday we got word that two major games were hitting some pretty big delays. First, Uncharted 4 got pushed back for the fourth time. Isn't that funny how that works? Fortunately, this time the delay is only for 2 weeks to May 10th, but still, I want it. According to the folks at PlayStation, this is due to some manufacturing concerns rather than something being wrong with the actual game. Do you guys need a disc burner or something? Probably pull mine out of my old PC for you, I don't know. The next delay was for Mass Effect Andromeda, who didn't see that coming, which seems to have fallen from its initial projection of holiday 2016 to Q1 2017. This came from, what else, an EA investor call where EA CFO Blake Jorgensen broke the news that the game would be coming in EA's fourth quarter. EA's fiscal year ends in March because they think they're too good for the rest of us, so, their fourth quarter is our first quarter. Anyway, don't worry, Jorgensen confirmed that we'll at least be getting Titanfall 2 in 2016, so there's something. I'm sure they'll announce the actual date for, Titanfall 2 in a Google Hangout or whatever they're doing at E3 now. If you're an Xbox fanboy rooting for Uncharted to be delayed indefinitely, fuck you. And also feel the deal, Spencer has got some words for you. In addition to his widely reported comments this week about the potential future of an upgradable Xbox, which we reported on as well, Spencer also took some shots at fanboys on Twitter. After an Xbox fan said it was embarrassing for Spencer to tweet he was excited for Uncharted 4's release, Phil tweeted back that any gamers who hope for a team to fail because of a platform aren't real gamers. Tell him, man. He followed that tweet up with fucking wrecked and some celebratory gifs. At least we hope. He didn't, but come on, a girl can dream, right? This isn't the first time Spencer has taken aim at fanboys. Back in September, he called the console wars distasteful and also said his job isn't to keep you from buying another console, but to be proud of yours. See, guys, world peace is attainable. NASA fanboys everywhere rejoiced at the return of astronaut Scott Kelly this week. Kelly spent nearly an entire year in space before landing safely in Kazakhstan on Tuesday. Now that he's back from the one-year mission stint, Kelly will be undergoing tests to see what effects space had on his body. Now, interestingly enough, Kelly grew 2 inches while in low gravity. Oh, so that's one way to get it done. In addition to the experiments he participated in, Kelly also entertained us with a number of social media moments. So welcome back, Sir Kelly. We hope that your bone density will recover or is okay already, and that aliens didn't secretly swap you out for a new Scott Kelly that's here now to spy on our every move. Whether or not Scott Kelly is an imposter is yet to be determined, but that might not be the case for the retro console, Koleco Chameleon. The throwback cartridge-based system has undergone some scrutiny this week, with users pointing out that it might actually be a scam. When Chameleon maker Retro showed up with a prototype at the recent NY Toy Fair, fans pointed out that it was literally just a Super Nintendo board duct-taped into a Jaguar case. Really, you can't make this shit up. The news came after the console's promised but not yet delivered crowdfunding campaigns, so naturally fans are getting pretty suspicious about whether or not this thing is real after all. To calm down the masses, Retro released some pictures of a new prototype on Facebook, which turned out to just be an old PCI card shoved into a clear Jaguar case. Come on. ColecoVision, Retro's partners in this venture, have released a statement that they're looking into these reports. Expect some ass kicking soon, hopefully. We may have lost the Leo wants an Oscar meme this week, RIP, but maybe we can start up a PewDiePie wants an Emmy one? The Television Academy has announced new award categories meant to recognize the achievement of short-form content by YouTubers and other internet creators. So yes, YouTubers might now actually be able to win Emmy Awards. What used to be a single short-form award has now been blown out to include comedy/drama, variety, reality/nonfiction, and animation. Nominated series must have at least 6 episodes with an average length of 15 minutes or less. I mean, The Know would be like a nonfiction one of those, right? I don't know. Anyway, some YouTubers have already won an Emmy, most notably the creators of the Lizzie Bennett Diaries. They won for Original Interactive Program way back in 2014, and again for Emma Approved in 2015. This just means that we'll be seeing this kind of thing happen more often, so you can expect PewDiePie is gonna win some shit, because love him or hate him, the man is so freaking popular. But, we could also just nominate Rooster Teeth. Come on, we wanna be memes too, guys. Zack Snyder probably won't be winning any awards for the next project he'd like to tackle, assuming he can ever stop making DC movies without losing one of his kidneys. The testosterone-fueled director reportedly wants to put his own spin on the father of our country, George Washington. In an interview with Bloomberg Business, Snyder said he'd love to make a 300-style depiction of our first president and the war for independence. While history purists everywhere scoff at this, and as someone with a history degree, I have to agree with him, Eddy says if we have Pride and Prejudice and zombies and Abraham Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, why not this too? Damn you, Eddy, you're part of the problem. Especially, by the way, Eddy thinks if it leads to a Justice-type Founding Fathers supergroup movie, he's all for it. Actually, I'm all for that too. I would love that. In other history rewriting news, images of a Star Wars style guide from 1994 are circulating on the internet this week. Pablo Hidalgo, Star Wars story executive, gave Twitter fans a snapshot of the document that was used to guide new materials for the Star Wars role-playing game by West End Games. The guide gives an interesting glance at the mindset of the Star Wars writers back in the mid-90s, and if George Lucas had followed it, well, we wouldn't actually have the prequels. Part of the guide instructs writers that not everyone should be from Tatooine, for one, but it also has a section that writers should avoid talking about the past, specifically how the Emperor rose to power, the fall of the Republic, the history of Darth Vader, and pretty much everything else that's in the prequels. Of course, Lucas at the time had the right to do whatever he wanted with Star Wars canon, blah, 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 but come on, just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. Or the clan. I messed it up. Let's continue. Speaking of potential letdowns, VR may be getting hyped up by industry analysts, but gamers and developers, they don't seem so convinced. A new survey from Gamer Network shows that the majority of gamers are not sold at all on VR coming this year, with only 15% saying they're interested. The survey, which got over 13,000 respondents, found that price was the most important factor to those gamers. Now, interestingly enough, 75% of respondents identified as PC gamers, which is really the audience you think would be the most receptive to the VR shift. VR also took some shots this week from Dean Hall, who's the creator of DayZ. In a Reddit post, Hall called VR technology a very expensive Wii. He said he won't be banking his new studio, Rocketworks, on VR, but instead wants to focus on engaging games people can play for longer than 20 minutes at a time. Salty. Scientists have created a functional model of a living, breathing supercomputer. Let's welcome our new computer overlords. Really, there's no punchline there besides the one I just said, because it's actually very, very cool. The model was developed by a multinational team from 4 countries and relies on adenosine triphosphate, ATP, for power. ATP is the same stuff that powers human cells, which I remember from biology, but I haven't said it in so long, I'm probably fucking it up. By the way, that means a supercomputer would essentially be living. In the model, proteins zip around the network like cars in a city. Now, because it relies on ATP for power, and because it barely requires cooling, this biological supercomputer would be much less expensive to run than typical supercomputers, which consume huge amounts of power. Unless you worry about the machine deciding it would rather use our bodies for energy, like something out of the Matrix, this is just a model. So, you've got maybe what, a week, a year before the real thing shows up? It's hard to hear. In less dreary news, the Dark Tower movie officially has its cast. It's been rumored for months that Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey would be playing the gunslinger and the man in black respectively, but Stephen King has now confirmed it. The writer posted the news to Twitter this week, which is where we make big announcements now, probably in between finishing 3 new novels, because that's what he does. The first book in the acclaimed Western/fantasy/horror novels has Elba's Roland tracking an evil sorcerer across a wasteland. There are some zombie-like things, lots of violence, and of course tie-ins to other Stephen King books along the way. Filmmakers have been trying to adapt The Dark Tower for years now, with little success. Last year, producers said the movie would also accompany a TV series, but we really haven't heard anything about that, so no clue if that's still the plan. So that does it for our roundup today, guys. Share your thoughts on these stories in the comments down below. Of course, tell us what you think of Rooster Teeth winning an Emmy, and the answer is yes. Don't forget for the latest geeky roundups, like this video, and subscribe to the Know. Spencer also took some time. We're excited about the continent. Well, that might be the case for the retro. I get it. Koleco Chameleon, the throwback cartridge-based season. God damn it. When Chameleon, the news came after the console's promise that. Now, some of you are. Apparently, his inspiration was the famous painting of Washington. I say hey. Well, I'm actually a history major, so I don't say hey. Eddy believes Pablo Hidalgo, Star Wars story executive, in a Reddit post, Hall called, and relies on, oh god,